Ranger Alexei had been protecting Kenya's nature for over 20 years. For him, the savannah was home, where every sunrise over the acacias and every hyena's cry were part of his life. His constant companion was Rex, a dog with sandy-colored fur and eyes that seemed to reflect the entire wilderness. Rex didn't just follow Alexei on patrols, he was his partner, alert and fearless. His instincts were honed by years in the savannah, where he learned to distinguish the rustle of the wind from the footsteps of a predator. Together, they safeguarded the reserve from poachers, monitored the animals, and helped preserve the savannah's untouched beauty for future generations. One year, the rainy season hit Kenya with unprecedented force. The sky unleashed torrents and rivers burst their banks, turning forest paths into impassable streams of mud and water. The currents carried everything, branches, boulders, and anything else in their path, threatening to flood even the usually dry trails. But a ranger's work knows no days off, and Alexei and Rex continued their patrols despite the downpour. They walked along a raging river, its waters roaring as they swept away debris. Rex, as always, ran ahead, his ears catching every sound, his nose picking up every scent, even through the veil of rain. Suddenly, the dog froze. His tail stiffened, his gaze fixed on the water. Without a sound, Rex leaped toward the river, heedless of its ferocious current. Alexei shouted, trying to stop him, but the dog was already in the water, battling the waves. Moments later, it became clear what had caught his attention. A tiny lion cub was struggling in the torrent, barely staying afloat. Its small body was overwhelmed by the waves, yet it fought desperately for life, clinging to a piece of driftwood. Risking his own life, Rex grabbed the cub in his jaws and, fighting the current, dragged it to shore. Alexei rushed over, picked up the trembling cub, and began rubbing it to warm it up. The cub was soaked, terrified, but alive. Its faint breathing was barely audible, but its fear-filled eyes still held a spark of life. Rex licked it, as if reassuring it that the worst was over. Alexei radioed the reserve's base, and soon they delivered the cub to the veterinarians. After examination, it was clear the cub would survive, but it needed time to recover. The vets worked tirelessly, providing the cub with warmth, food, and care. Thus began an extraordinary story. The cub was named Kai, meaning brave in the local language. The name proved prophetic, for despite its weakness, the spirit of a true lion shone through. But the most remarkable thing was how Rex became not just the cub's savior, but his true friend. They became inseparable. In the shade of acacias, Kai and Rex played, rolled in the grass, and shared food. Rex, large and strong, was incredibly gentle with the cub. He let Kai nibble his ears, leap onto his back, and even climb on him to nap. Sometimes Kai would fall asleep with his nose buried in Rex's warm fur, and Rex would lie still, as if afraid to disturb his sleep. At night, they slept side by side, curled up together, and it seemed there was no difference between the dog and the lion cub, just a pure, heartfelt bond. The reserve staff marveled at this friendship. A dog who by nature should fear a lion and a cub born to become a predator had become brothers. They spent their days together, and even the toughest rangers, accustomed to the harsh realities of the savannah, smiled watching their play. But everyone knew this idyll couldn't last forever. Kai was growing, his paws becoming broader, his mane starting to sprout, and his gaze increasingly turned toward the horizon. He was born for the savannah, for a life in the wild, where freedom and his own destiny awaited. The reserves team prepared him for that day, teaching him to hunt, navigate the savannah, and survive among other predators. The moment of farewell arrived. Kai was taken to a place deep in the savannah where there was plenty of water, game, and shelter. He was no longer the frail cub Rex had pulled from the river. Now he was a young lion, strong and ready for an independent life. But the parting was not easy. Kai rubbed his head against Rex, letting out soft rumbles as if reluctant to leave. Rex looked at him with his wise eyes and licked his nose, as he had done hundreds of times before. Alexei stood nearby, feeling a lump in his throat, his hand resting on Rex's back as if seeking support. When the crate was opened, Kai took his first steps into the wild. He paused, turned back, and looked at Alexei and Rex. His eyes gleamed as if he wanted to remember them forever. Then he turned and slowly walked toward the tall grass. His silhouette melted into the golden waves of the savannah until it vanished completely. Alexei and Rex stood silently, watching him go. The wind rustled the grass, and somewhere in the distance, birds sang. Kai had returned home to where he belonged. Life at the reserve went on. Alexei and Rex patrolled the savannah as before, protecting its inhabitants. But a new spark appeared in Rex's eyes, pride, calm, as if he knew he had done something profound. Sometimes he would pause, staring into the distance where Kai had disappeared. Perhaps he was recalling the days they spent together or hoping for another meeting. Alexei, too, felt that this story had changed them both, giving their lives new meaning. A year later, during another patrol, a miracle happened. A low roar came from the tall grass, and a young lion with a thick mane stepped out before Alexei and Rex. His eyes were familiar. It was Kai. He gazed at them, unmoving, while Rex tensed but didn't growl. They stood like that for a few seconds, as if recalling each other. Kai let out a soft rumble, turned, and disappeared into the grass. Rex didn't chase after him. He simply watched until the lion was gone. Alexei knelt beside Rex, placing a hand on his back. "You did it, old boy," he said quietly. Rex licked his hand and they moved on. The savannah continued its life. Zebras grazed in the distance, giraffes stretched their necks to the tops of acacias, and the sun set, painting the sky in crimson hues. Somewhere out there, among the grasses, Kai was now hunting, running with the wind, and perhaps finding his pride to become a true king of the savannah. This story is not just about a rescue, it's about a friendship that transcends all boundaries, about nature that teaches us love and freedom. Alexei and Rex gave Kai a second chance, and he in turn left an indelible mark on their hearts. Somewhere in the heart of the savannah, Kai lives his life, free, strong, and perhaps grateful for the day when a dog named Rex plunged into a raging river to save him. This story reminds us that even in the wild, there is room for miracles. It inspires us to protect a world where such bonds are possible. Alexei and Rex continue their work, guarding the savannah, walking the trails where every step recalls their adventure. And somewhere out there, among the golden grasses, lives a lion who will always be part of their family. Dear friend, thank you for watching this video. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to catch more incredible tales of adventures in the wild.